Time once again for the Kaufman Corner. What do we see? A friendly face, one we haven't seen for a little while. David Lesky from Inside the Crown, and he's back. Rany Jazayerli, the good doctor, co-founder of Baseball Prospectus, joins us as we're doing predictions. We said he'd be around from time to time, and this is one of those times he's going to be around. We're going to lay out what we think is going to happen. Player of the year, pitcher of the year, breakout player, biggest disappointment. How about the position player not named Bobby Witt Jr. that will perform the best? Same thing for the pitcher, not named Cole Ragans. Best reliever, impact rookie, top prospect at the end of the year. We're even going to give you our Royals prediction. We do it right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis, and of course, and Rany Jazayerli joins us here in the program. Rany, how are you, buddy?
I am well. I am well. Happy Eid to both of you guys. Ramadan is over, so I'm sitting here. We're recording during the day, but I've got my water here and just enjoyed my morning coffee, so I'm ready to go.
There you go. There you go. Congratulations. Nice. All right. So we do this every year, and Randy's been doing it every year, and Randy's always terrible. I mean, he always has to admit that I'm way better at this, right, Rany?
No comment.
I don't know. I don't even remember if one of us does pretty well and the other one doesn't. I don't think we do great all around.
I think we are equally bad at this.
Yeah, I think this is what reminds us. And we talk about this on the Red, Gold, and Bolt. We make our predictions and then we review them at the end of the year. So we don't hide from anything. We don't sweep anything under the rug. And what it reminds us every year is just how hard it is to predict what's going to happen in a sports season, which is why we love sports. Right? It's why we love sports. So it's a great thing. David, I think this is your first time on this exercise. Did you enjoy it? Was it fun or was it absolutely glorious?
No, it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I'm just letting you know my last day on the podcast is going to be whatever the week is before next year's version. I'm just kidding. It was good. It was good. It was fine. I do it anyway for Inside the Crown. So sure. I was doing it. I just delete the post at the end of the year so nobody can find it.
Yeah.
So they can't prove I was an idiot.
I like that strategy. Well, we make them work. It's hard to go back 9 months before or 7-8 months by the time the postseason's over and we end up doing the review show. So we make it difficult. Well, let's dive in. Rany, player of the year. Last year you liked Michael Massey is kind of the guy to shock, but to say player of the year this year, bold on your part, my friend. Well done.
Yes. There's a reason why we have the player of the year category and then the player of the year, not Bobby Witt Jr. category, right? So, look, we're watching George Brett in 1979, right? That's basically where we are. Like Bobby Witt turns 26 in June. That's the age that George Brett turned in 1979. This just enjoy the inner circle Hall of Famer at his peak. Everybody, like when talking about the Royals, we're talking about their playoff chances. We're talking about everything about this franchise. It revolves around this guy. And health permitting, I see no reason to think that will change this year.
Yeah, I will say this: your point about watching George Brett, I agree. And if people are not familiar with his 1979 season, 329, 376, 563. He led baseball with 212 hits. He led baseball with 20 triples, 23 home runs, 107 driven in. 119 runs. I was going to say 212 runs. Record. No, 212 hits, 119 runs. I mean, that was it was one of the superstar seasons of George Brett. But I will say this, David, Randy's right. We have that for a reason. I mean, I'll let everybody just peek under the covers, and shockingly, I have Bobby Witt Jr. in this spot as well. But it's also because I plan on him bouncing back a little bit from what was not even a down year, just a year that wasn't as good as 2 years ago. Yeah. But it is like Vinny Pasquantino did hit 30 home runs. Carter Jemison whetted our appetite that probably not this year, but maybe in the future, there'd be a reason to add him. Jack Caglianone's immense power. It does look like there's at least on the horizon a reason to maybe have to do away with the not named Bobby Witt Jr. category. It's not this year, but it maybe
he's still Bobby Witt. Like it's any other team, you're like, it could be 3 or 4 different guys. It's gonna be Witt as long as he's a Royal and healthy, I think. But you're right. He has sidekicks now that he's never really. I mean, I guess he had one last year with Maikel Garcia. I'm trying to say his name correctly now that he's told us that you emphasize the Mai and not the Kel. But yeah, he's got multiple guys, and if you look up at the end of the year and you go, oh, you know what, Jack Caglianone was actually better than Bobby Witt Jr., it would be a surprise. Well, Caglianone would probably be a shock right now after what he did last year. But if Garcia is better at the end of the year, you go, oh, that's a surprise, but not the most shocking thing in the entire world. Because there are other guys. I had Kyle Isbell as my best. No, I'm just kidding. I had Witt, obviously. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. There are multiple legitimate good players, borderline stars on this team. Which, when does that happen?
I mean, even the 15 team, I mean, don't we feel like from an offensive standpoint, I mean, I think it speaks to how baseball keeps getting better and that it learns the lessons of the teams that teach it, the lessons along the way, because I feel like, bullpens are now better. Like part of the Royals, 15 run, that whole, moment was the fact that they, we're doing something at the back end that other teams weren't doing, but Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas versus Vinny Pasquantino, Maikel Garcia. Nobody was in the realm of the shortstop as good as Escobar was. This group is better, right? Was there a Carter Jensen or Jack Caglianone that parachuted in the middle of that deal then? No. I mean, or they wouldn't have been losing 100 games years later. So, I mean, I feel like they're in better hands now than they were even in that championship run. So
if you had made this category best hitter, I think that would be a much more up for grabs, category, right? Because the thing that makes Bobby Witt so head and shoulders above everybody else is that he does everything. And in the modern era where we have metrics like wins above replacement to give you, like in the past, people, you intuitively knew, a shortstop that hits 300 is better than a first baseman that hits 300. But let's just look at the award voting in 1979 when George Brett had those numbers that you just said, right? Like it's kind of this forgotten season in his career, in part because in 1980 he was even better and he won the MVP award, but it's also because he only finished third in the MVP vote. Do you know who won the MVP that year?
I do because I just clicked it, so I'm not going to say it. But
Willie Stargell won it in the NL.
Right. That was a crazy with a tie, I think, for Willie Stargell.
Keith Hernandez.
Right. But in the American League, it was the Willie Stargell of the American League. It was Don Baylor.
Okay.
Who hit 296, 371, 530. So worse in all the splits than George Brett. Now, we didn't have splits back. We had batting average, but George had a higher batting average. Don Baylor had 36 home runs to 23. But he was a DH for 40% of the season and a corner outfielder the rest. Why did he win? Ribbies. It's all about the ribbies. 139 RBIs, led the league. That's all voters looked at in 1979. And
Fred Lynn got robbed.
Sorry?
By the way, Fred Lynn got robbed. Not George
Brett. Oh, yeah. Fred Lynn he actually led the league in WAR above George Brett.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that was just the way people thought back then. Like, you think defense matters and defensive value at your position matters, but didn't get reflected in the voting. Yeah. With Bobby Witt, it gets reflected because his overall numbers, like his OPS plus last year, I think was 136. It was the best on the team, but like Michael Garcia, or I need to start saying it right too. Michael Garcia was at 123. Vinny was at 120. Like they're within range. I could see a scenario in which either of those guys, or Caglione, or even Carter Jensen, ends the season with a higher OPS plus than Bobby Witt Jr. Do I think that they will be a better overall player? No. Yeah, he's the best defensive shortstop in baseball. Platinum glove winning shortstop. That's always going to be the deciding advantage.
Arguably the best defender in baseball, not just shortstop.
Yeah, platinum glove. I mean, they only give out one of those in each league, and he won that. So it's
I will say this though, like shortstop range falls off, like center field range falls off, right? So like he'll still have the bat, but there'll come a time when that comes down. That's when everybody else, that's why you put all these other players around him. Right. They have to rise up because his range is going to start to decrease at some point when the athleticism starts to wear out a little bit. I also think the stolen bases will come down. I don't think you want him stealing bases. I don't think the Royals want him stealing as many bases. I don't think they want him chasing like 50 stolen bases or 60 or just some number. I think they want him stealing when it matters. And then the rest of the time saving the legs. That's not just counting numbers to count them, but you're established now, kid. You don't have to get to a 30-30 or a 40-40 or a 20-40 or 20-50 to, try to make the numbers look good for an MVP voting. You're right there. You're going to be at the top. You don't need to do it. Let's go to pitching. Pitcher of the year. Who do you got, Rany?
Again, all about the chalk here. I'm going with Cole Ragans. He seems to be healthy. He's been named opening day starter for the third year in a row, joining a fairly small group of Royals who've had that opportunity. Still kind of amazing. He was the opening day starter 2 years ago based on 12 starts in his Royals career. But I mean, it was a testament to just how incredible he was after they acquired him at the deadline in 2023. But if healthy, he is a Cy Young candidate. He's not my pick for the Cy Young award because we need to make sure he can stay healthy for 200 innings. But if you told me now he's going to throw as many innings as he did in 2024, I would definitely expect him to be on a Cy Young ballot. So he's the ace. And that's another, reason to be optimistic about the Royals' chances this year.
David, same.
Yeah, I had Ragans. And I think if he gets, I don't know what the number is, 21 starts maybe, that's his. Less than 21, it could be somebody else's. But if he gets 21 starts and 125, 130 innings, something like that, then I think he's the pitcher of the year. If he misses time, it gets a little murky. But yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, I like that number. I think that's kind of mulling in my head when you said that because I think Chris Bubich is the one guy that has upside to where he could approach, not even get there, but like you said, if Ragans had 21 starts and he comes in with 125 innings and 180 strikeouts, Bubich could come in at 175 strikeouts but 200 innings or 185 innings, more wins. He was there every fifth day and he could take this award. I really feel like he's the only one that could take it because I think I just can't see Lugo getting back. I mean, that's probably unfair. 2 years ago, Lugo's season would have definitely taken it as well. So maybe I should give Seth Lugo the option of being there if Cole Ragans stumbles, but I've got Ragans as well. I think it's his award. I think if he can get to 2021, he probably wins it for the Royals. If he gets to 27 or 8, he's a Cy Young candidate. Mm-hmm. There's some pretty good ones. There's some pretty good ones out there. There's some guys with some electric. We know Scooble's stuff to beat. Garrett Crochet had an amazing season last year. It'll be tough. It's not just like, if he gets 32 starts, he wins it. It's not that simple. But
Scooble won't be tough to beat though, because he'll be traded to the National League. So
or he'll choose to get ready for the next WBC.
He's preparing for the Olympics.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes from here. All right, Rany, where did you go on Breakout Player?
Ooh, Breakout Player. This one was really tough. And so I went off the board a little bit, but I mean, if you've listened to me on the show in the past, this hopefully won't be much of a surprise. I'm picking a guy who won't even be on the roster on opening day. I'm going with Ryan Bergert.
Okay.
I really like Ryan Bergert. And I really think because his last 2 starts of last season just blew up his numbers before they shut him down because his elbow was bothering him, or his forearm, I guess I should say. People forget just how impressive he was from the moment the Royals got him. Kind of like Cole Ragans, a miniature version of Cole Ragans after a trade. But those numbers, his overall numbers are still good, but I think people forget just how good he was before that. But I was concerned all winter about, is he going to be healthy? He was, forearm strains can turn into stuff. So quietly, one of the things I'm happiest about this spring, even though he's not making the team, he seems to be pitching free and easy. His velocity is up about half a mile an hour. In fact, from last year, he's averaging 94.1 on his fastball. Last year was at 93.4. His sinker and slider are also about half a mile to a mile faster than last year. So no evidence that he's not healthy. His results haven't been great. He's given up 6 homers in like 13 innings. He gave up 3 to like Shea Langoliers in one game. But It's Arizona. It's thin air. Mike Moustakas was like, a perennial MVP in Arizona. There's a limit to how much I'm going to read into actual performance numbers. What matters to me is he seems to be healthy. His velocity seems to be there. And I expect that he will make it very difficult for the Royals to keep him in Omaha for long. And by the end of the season, we'll look at him as one of the most important players on the team.
Yeah, I like that. Bold and daring predictions to come later in the week, but that was pretty bold right there by Rany. All right, who's your breakout for this season, David?
Ryan Burgert's a good one. I'm mad at myself now, but so I was starting with Luinder Avila because I thought, okay, he's going to be in the bullpen. He's going to get huge innings. And I started thinking about it, and I go, yeah, I bet. What if he doesn't come up? What if they keep him stretched out as depth, which I think is a mistake. I think he's one of the best 13 pitchers on the staff. Let him pitch. We'll figure out starting later, whatever. So I went really, really boring because here's the problem with Breakout. Everybody's most of the guys have already broken out, and the guys who haven't broken out probably won't. And so I went with the really boring answer of Carter Jensen because he's going to break out with a full season of looking like a stud. And I think he's the guy who, everybody talks about if Caglione hits, and that's important, yes. But if Carter Jensen makes the big 4 a big 5, I think he's the more likely one. This offense goes from, well, they're going to have some moments to they're going to be tough to beat day in and day out. And so I think he's the guy. I think he's the breakout guy for me.
Okay. Interesting. I think that's you can't argue with that, right? The pedigree's there. So, I think it's a fine performance. I wanted to be crafty on this one. I wanted to dig somebody out, and Ryan Burgert's really good. I do like that one, but I am very proud of this. I'm proud of it now, and I want you to remember that because 6 to 7, 8 months from now, I'm probably going to be mocking myself for how stupid this pick was because there is a strong chance that we'll look back and be like, what were you thinking with this pick? But I went Nick Lofton. I'm hoping that he's had the seasoning and enough taste in the big leagues that the combination of where he has clearly tried to take a base, to take the walk, be more patient at the plate, new hitting coaches with new good ideas that seem to have the whole team being more patient, and they can give him a way to translate this patience in AAA into patience at the plate and selectivity at the plate, and that he is – if he gets on base, I think that's their emphasis, and so he's going to get the opportunity to fill in wherever there's gaps. And I think he's just at that age where it's time for him to kind of become, hopefully, Bill Pecota, since Randy's hearkening back to olden days. I won't go to the 70s, but I'll go to the 80s with Bill Pecota to maybe even early days Whit Merrifield. I think that's what we'd love for him to turn into the Whit Merrifield. I think the potential is there. I think this is a reach on my part. Carter Jensen's the right pick. Ryan Burgert's probably the second. If we had to put odds on this, I like that. I think he'd probably be second favorite for this category. Maybe Jack Caglione's there because of the pedigree. You could throw his name into this mix as well. But I think Nick Lofton would be on the board for if you were putting odds out there. And I think he's often overlooked, and I think he could be a real key piece for this team. So I went Nick Lofton to break out and establish himself as a guy.
It's a good pick. I thought about him as well. I will say I think it is funny that none of us picked Jack Caglione, because like on paper, I think he's just by far the most obvious choice. And at least for me, it was almost too obvious. I wanted to go a little bit off the board. So is this a vote of no confidence in Jack Caglione from us, or is this kind of like we almost take for granted that he's going to be better? Because
both,
yes.
My answer, yeah.
I will say this is a tease. So this is in the business. This is a tease. Wait for the bold predictions for me for Caglione.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
Just saying.
We get to
if I don't pick it first. So
okay. All right.
I don't think you'll take mine.
Okay.
Yeah, it is when we do that show. It is going to be draft style, so keep that in mind. Something you might want to know. All right, we still have to get to our biggest disappointment. We'll get to the guys who are going to perform that aren't those top names. We're going to do that after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots.
Now at Whataburger, you can get the new Big Ranch Wrap for $3, 5 premium wadded chicken bites for $4, or a bacon cheese Whataburger Jr. for $5. Add fries and a drink for a little more. Now that's a Whata deal at
Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, biggest disappointment. Rany, where do you go for the biggest disappointment?
So again, also a tough one. You don't want to diss anybody. Certainly nobody who has been wearing the capital C on their uniform for the last couple of years. So I'm not going in that direction.
Oh, okay. You could just on age.
I mean, exactly. I mean, that's what it would be.
That was a juke. Just FYI, that was a big juke right there.
Yeah, I'm not going there. You could make a case for it, but I'm not going there.
Tim Hardaway, UTEP two-step. He went between the legs, then he came back over.
So I am, and I hate to say this, and I hope I'm wrong, because I was very excited about his acquisition this winter. But at least right now, I think I'm going to go with Isaac Collins. I'm a little bit worried. Partly because he just has had a bunch of owies in spring training and just hasn't really been able to get on the field 100%, and makes me wonder if he's going to be ready 100% to start the season. And when he has been on the field, he hasn't performed particularly well. Again, spring training doesn't matter, but it's an offensive environment in Arizona, and he's I think 2 for 24. He got 2 hits in all of spring training as we speak. I could just see this turning into a Jonathan India-like situation, where at the end of the year, it's not like, oh, he was terrible, but it's just like you expected him to be that OBP boost to your lineup. And at the end of the year, his on base is 320 or 330, which isn't bad, but without a lot of power, without a lot of defensive value, like the overall package is just kind of disappointing. And he doesn't solve, once again, the Royals have not solved their left field problem. I think that's kind of the disappointment that I'm bracing for.
Are you going different here, David?
I am.
Okay, wait a minute.
Collins.
So then let me go Collins in, because I am going the same, and we'll get Collins off the board, and you can chime in on him next. But
yeah,
I begrudgingly went Collins. I also, when I put it down, I was like, I'm going to be alone on this, and I went, no, this is one of those things where I think I'm crafty and I'm getting to the bottom of something, and both these guys are going to be on the same guy as me. And since David's not, Rany, it doesn't shock me that you're here as well. One of the things that one, he's off to a bad start. That doesn't help. 2, the pedigree last year coming into the year did not say that he would be 4th in the American League Rookie of the Year. He exceeded expectations. And 3, the Brewers traded him. Okay, so like there's an element of like if the Brewer, like if you got a good guy in your fantasy league, a guy who wins it all the time, you're like, oh, I want to make this trade, and you offer it to him, and he goes, okay, I'll do it. Well, hold on, wait a minute. I mean, I don't know that I want to. If you want to do it, why do I want to do it? I must be like the Brewers have reached that status with me that if they want to do a deal with you, and you saw Angel Zerpa looking pretty good, like, and they're going to make him a starter, and I'll bet they give him a new weapon or something, and then we're like, oh my God, Angel Zerpa is like awesome. I do worry about that a lot, and I think just getting off to the slow start, I think a regression was due. I do think the Royals, the one place where I think this may not be the case is I think the Brewers probably used him perfectly, and I expect Matt Quatraro to do the same. So I think where they protected Collins and probably boosted his numbers, I think Matt Quatraro will do it again. But there's kind of a feeling that everybody else is a platoon, and this guy's going to hold down left field by himself. And I think he could give the Royals everything that they want and still be a disappointment for the fans, because I think the fans are thinking this is the guy that could get 500 at-bats in the outfield spot. And I don't think that's going to happen by design. And then if he struggles at all, that brings those numbers down even more.
And to the Royals' credit, I will say, if they thought he was going to be an everyday guy, they wouldn't have signed Starling Marte. I feel like that is an acknowledgement of the Royals that his value is best if he's used 70% of the time, not 100% of the time.
I'll disagree a little bit on that. I think the fact that they had an opportunity to get a bat that could help him out and give him more depth, I can see that Marte was not the plan, but he was there and the price was right, and they made it happen. I don't disagree with your thought, but I think there's the possibility there that wasn't part of the equation, if that makes sense.
Well, regardless, if it ends up allowing them to limit Isaac Collins a little bit, I think it will hopefully help his overall value.
Well, yeah. And I do think that it wasn't Marte was the guy they got. They were looking at guys. I mean, because was it Garcia? I think it was Adolis Garcia who they were in on after they traded for Collins. So yes, they ended up with Marte very late, but it's not like they weren't looking for that guy before. So I think that's a fair point. I was going to go with Isaac Collins, and then I thought, you know what? No, they're going with Isaac Collins. I'm going with somebody else. So it's probably, this is not the best answer because the best answer is Isaac Collins. I went with Jonathan India because they gave him $8 million to play second base every day. And I've said this a million times. I understand their thought process. There are so many reasons why they're probably correct in hoping and thinking that he will get better. I don't think he's going to get that much better. The fences will help, yes, but he's a terrible defender. He's a terrible base runner. He's not an especially good hitter. He gets on base. He works counts. He takes pitches. I don't see him being $8 million isn't that much. I don't see him being worth $8 million.
See, I'll object to that because I considered him for my breakout. And then I'm like, well, he's been Rookie of the Year in the National League, and he had a big year. Like, is that really breaking out? But if we had a bounce back player, he'd be my pick for bounce back. But I can totally see I feel like the fences coming in are going to help his psyche, and I think he had a down year, so he ought to have a good year this year. And
hey, I get it.
He was dinged up, it seemed like, with a lot of nicks and bruises from the get-go last year. So
to me, the big variable with him, and the reason why I kind of just stayed away from him from all of this is I don't know how much of last season was the result of getting blasted in his
that's fair
in his head. Like, what was it, the second game of the season or whatever? Had probably a concussion. I think it
was Sunday. It was the third game of the year because then he played. That's right. He played the next game in Milwaukee. Remember, and went and got 3 hits.
Right.
And we were like, "Oh, this is Superman." And then I think he had 3 total hits the rest of the year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I really looking back and the comments that they've made afterwards, it does make me wonder. Just for head injuries can be very subtle, and he just was never really right the rest of the year. But I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm hopeful that without any traumatic brain injuries this year, that he'll be playing a lot better. But I think both of you could absolutely be right. I have no idea.
Okay. Let's get to a best position player not named Bobby Witt Jr. And Rany goes with Michael Garcia. So it's on to David. Or no, am I wrong?
No, same thing.
No, it's Michael Garcia.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the same argument you made about Witt. It's the best. Right. He's not. I don't think he'll be the second best hitter, but he'll be the second best player.
Okay.
Right. And to me, I mean, ultimately, he doesn't have to be a breakout this year, but this, to me, this is a vote of confidence that what we saw from him last year was real. Like, may he regress a little bit with the bat? Sure, a little bit. But I think he was 5.8 wins above replacement at Baseball Reference last year. Like, he could regress a little bit, still be a 4.5 win player. And given that the best, players at other positions are playing first base, maybe right field, like the positional adjustment at those positions is so high that even if Vinny or Caglione or Carter Jensen have like really good offensive seasons, they're probably going to be in the 3 to 4 win range. So I just think that the advantage having a Gold Glove caliber third baseman, if Michael Garcia is just an average to average plus hitter, he will still be the second best player on the team. And I think what he did last year, I think I would pencil in for roughly the same numbers. I don't think he's going to regress very much. I really think that was for real.
Listen, what he did in the WBC makes it pretty clear that there's not going to be a regression here. And if you go by WAR, he's going to win it. I mean, I have no problem with you guys, but I knew for sure Rany was going to go Michael Garcia. And to add some flavor to this podcast, so it's not just ditto, ditto, ditto all over the place, I went with Vinny Pasquantino because I do think there is an intangible to Vinny Pasquantino. He was the leader of the Italy team. He is the leader of this team. Bobby Witt Jr. is the best player. He is the heart and soul of this team. He and Salvador Perez are the heart and soul of this team. And so I think Vinny Pasquantino is going to have another 30 home run season. I think Vinny Pasquantino is going to drive in 100 runs. I mean, I think we now know that this is one of the best hitters at the position. One of the best. He's probably not ever going to be the MVP of the league. I don't think there's some, 60 home run season out there, but I think there's more. I think there's still a little bit more, not a lot, but I think there's still a little bit more. And I just think he will more and more become the face of this team. And so it won't necessarily be in the metrics that say it on the field, but I think more and more he will become the heartbeat of the Royals. And that is what I will give as my evidence to stick the flag in the ground and say I won this one at the end of the year.
Fair enough. Like, I know you guys talked about the World Baseball Classic in the last couple episodes, but now that it's over, it's a cliche to say, the Royals were the big winners, and sure they were. And, it's easy to overstate the importance of a tournament in March on what that means about a team for, 6 months of regular season. But don't you guys feel even more optimistic about the Royals this season?
My God, yes.
Just think about it this way. The two stories of the tournament, the two surprise teams, but the two teams that did the best were Italy and Venezuela. The captains of both teams play for the Kansas City Royals. And when you name a team captain for the Royals, it can only mean so much because every team can have one captain. But when you are the captain of your national team, that means you have the respect of the entire industry. Right. And okay, Vinny was probably the best player on Italy to begin with, but at the same time, he was the captain of the tournament. Forget Italy. Nobody did more to advance the sport over the last month globally than Vinny Pasquantino. They are millions, 6 million Italians woke up at 4 a.m. to watch Italy play Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic in a baseball game. Are you kidding me? And it's because of him. Everybody on the team will say he recruited, he got those guys fired up, he brought them together as a group. It actually makes me wonder now. We've talked about should the Royals extend Vinny Pasquantino, and because he's made comments that he wants to sign, but the money hasn't been there, the contracts, they haven't offered the right contract, etc. And we've said, he might be a poor candidate to age, and you have him for 3 more years. But having this guy in Kansas City, what he must do in the clubhouse, and we knew he was a good clubhouse guy, but when you see this, it makes you wonder: is there even more value in his presence in the clubhouse? And then just the fact that he is a Kansas City Royal, I think, has some sort of intangible benefit just as a fan of this team in a small market in Middle America, that a guy who has transcended the market and become one of the faces of baseball. You look at Vinny's Q rating around the country now, people absolutely love Vinny Pasquantino. Like there might be some value in locking that guy up in Kansas City for an extra year or two. Like it really has changed, my perception of him even. And I was already like one of his biggest fans, but like, I feel like that's made a huge difference.
Are you talking that his value is beyond just what it is on the field, that he's got a Taylor Swift, a Travis Kelce, like the value to this? Is that what I'm hearing?
On the Swift Kelce scale, he's like, at a 0.01 or something like that. But that's still pretty valuable, I would say.
That's more than most people.
Yes.
But we did break out the scale for him. Exactly. So, he may register very lowly. There aren't many that we'd need that scale for, and we need it for Vinny Pasquantino. So I think you're right. I mean, I think the World Baseball Classic just grew his Q rating, and everybody, outside of Kansas City started realizing how impressive this guy is. All right, best pitcher not named Cole Ragans. Where are you going, Rany?
This was the hardest one, our hardest question of them all, honestly. I mean, I wrote in here Seth Lugo, but then in parentheses I put 4-way tie between Lugo and Waka and Bubic and Cameron. This, aside from Cole Ragans, I don't feel like anybody here is a number one starter or maybe even a number two starter. I mean, I know Seth Lugo finished second in the Cy Young vote 2 years ago, but it's been 2 years. He's an older guy, and he's not a power pitcher. He's a finesse guy. So I think his ceiling is somewhat limited, but he has the highest floor of all of these guys.
Lugo, Bubic,
Waka, Cameron. Like basically you go down the list. I mean, if I thought Berger get into the rotation by May, he'd probably be on that list too. To me, what's interesting is the higher the ceiling for these guys, the lower the floor. Like Bubic, I think, has the highest ceiling of the four. But he's come back from major injury. There's a chance he could get traded midseason. Like so I don't want to put him on this list. And if he makes 12 starts for the Royals this year. But to me, it's incredible depth that like the Royals have basically a number one and then 4 number threes. And I mean, number 3 sounds like majority. Oh, it's an average guy, but no, number 3 is a really good starter. Noah Cameron, he's a candidate to regress, but the more I look at him, the more I'm like, the guy's a lefty who throws like 92, 93. Like that's not a finesse guy. And he won't have a 2.99 ERA, but if he did, I'd pick him as the best pitcher. Like he's going to be a 3.50 to 4 ERA guy. And he has a great motion, doesn't throw particularly hard. So I don't think he's going to get hurt. So like all of these guys are going to be 2 to 3 win pitchers at the end of the season.
I love how you just said he's not a finesse guy and he doesn't throw particularly hard.
Well, when I talk about throw particularly hard for an injury perspective, there's evidence that like throwing more than 95 dramatically increases your risk of like Tommy John.
I just love how you loved up the fact that he's not a pus thrower.
Yeah,
because he's not a pus thrower hard. Like I just like how you.
But there is that like.
There is a nuance
zone.
there.
There's a Goldilocks zone, right? You almost want your certainly a lefty who throws like 94, perfect. Because they're throwing 97, 98, yeah, they're going to be a rocket ship to the moon, and then it's going to explode at some point.
Yeah,
sometimes multiple times. So
I hear you. I think that's very. I think you put it very well. I just like to needle you a little bit, Rany. I don't get to do it every week now, so got to take my shots.
He's on me now. He destroys my confidence every week now.
Best pitcher not named Cole Ragans for you, David.
I'll tell you who I didn't go with, and I'll tell you who I went with. Okay. I thought about Lugo. I thought about Cameron. I thought about Lucas Urseg because we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think he's the second most important pitcher on the pitching staff behind Cole Ragans. I even thought about Matt Strahm because of I think how good he can be for this team. I went with Bubic because I think that if he's, and it's a big if, but if he's healthy, I think he's the only other guy who you look at. If Cole Ragans gets hurt and the Royals make the playoffs and Chris Bubic is on the team, I think he's the only other guy on this staff who you say, if he's starting game 1, I'm not calling that a loss against another team's ace. So that was the criteria that I got to. And so I think that he's there, but I mean, Randy makes good points that he could be hurt. He could be traded. He could fall back a little bit. I mean, is he a 2.5 ERA guy? I don't think so. I think he's probably that was a really good year for him in 20 starts. But I think ultimately, if he like I said, if he's the guy starting game 1, you don't feel like it's already a defeat in a playoff game, and so that's why he was my second best for me.
Yeah, no, I have Chris Bubic as well. And to me, this one didn't take any time. It was the opposite of Rany. Like, Bubic was a no-brainer for me. I do think Seth Lugo, I will mention, I think he's the other name that could be there. But Bubic, to me, has shown the highest side, has shown equal to Lugo. Lugo 2 years ago was a very high-end pitcher. I don't want to diminish that. But I think that was the career year, and I think based on the age, it's unlikely that he'll get back there. And if he does get back there, it's because he's become even craftier. And I'm not going to bet on being craftier. Chris Bubic is still in the athletic prime, although now with a lot of injuries piling up. And I think the likelihood is that he gets hurt, but I'll take my chances that he has that one healthy year and makes a go of it that way, as opposed to that, he's going to, that Lugo's going to suddenly become craftier, if that makes sense. That's where I'll go on that one. All right. Let's talk about where the best reliever is. Rany, where are you going on that one?
I'm going with Lucas Erceg. I don't think this is particularly difficult, and particularly because the off the wall picks that I might have are starting the year in the minor leagues. Like Luinder Avila, Steven Cruz might be guys I could throw a dart at, but like they're not even starting the season in Kansas City. So I think Erceg's strikeout rate will come back, and it's a testament to his ability that even without missing bats last year, he was still, in terms of his ERA performance, at least, probably the best reliever on the team. So, and with Carlos Estevez, struggling to break 90, and yes, I know it happens every year, but like, there's a very, very good chance that Lucas Erceg will be earning saves as well as pitching well here by the end of April. So he might have to move back into the closer's role early in the season.
All right, David, I know you went there too, probably.
No, I actually went with Strom. And the reason I went with Strom is because
really,
didn't
you just in your last sentence say you considered Lucas Erceg for the best pitcher, not Team Cole Ragans? I
did, and that's very contradictory. You are correct, but I think Matt Strom. So Carlos Estevez is the reason why I went with Matt Strom over Lucas Erceg, which is a weird sentence. But I think that Lucas Erceg as the closer, which I think is where he'll end up for at least a bit, is limits what he can do. And I think Matt Strom becomes the best reliever on this team because he will be the fireman. And because he does get righties, he gets lefties. He's not a loogie, right? Like, and so I think that the fact that Lucas Erceg is going to I think he's going to need to be used in a much more stable role, which I think will help him. I think Matt Strom becomes the better reliever, even though Lucas Erceg might have the better numbers and the better pitcher, which is a weird way to put it. But that's why maybe I looked at it as most important. But I think Strom is the guy. It's 1 and 1A to me. And honestly, part of why I went with Strom is because I knew you guys were going with Erceg, so I wanted to be different. But like I think Lucas Erceg's rigidity in a closer role will limit him a little bit.
Okay. I went with Lucas Erceg as well, and I'm not bragging about it because I think he's going to be what he was last year. And I don't think he's going to suddenly become the dominant strikeout guy that we got a little taste of 2 years ago. I think he's going to be good. I think they got to be careful on how they use him. I don't think if he is what he was last year, he should be used as a fireman. I think they need to just go to, you're my 7th, you're my 8th, you're my 9th, unless he finds that. But I by default, I get there. Estevez's age, yes, I'm with Rany. The velocity, this is usually the game he plays this time of year, so I'm fairly optimistic that he's going to get it back. Matt Strom was more of a candidate for the disappointment for me than he was to land in this spot. I think Matt Strom's going to be Matt Strom, and I like the addition. I'm not down on it, but I do think that there's a chance that he just disappoints some, right? Like, oh, we think he's good, and he ends up being the middle guy. I actually, I wish I had a category. Maybe I will. I'm looking here. No, there's another category where I could have put one of these guys in, but I think Mason Black or Luinder Avila may be the fireman by the time we get to the end, right? And I think this could look real different in the second half of the season when we get there. All right, we'll talk about biggest impact of the rookie, top prospect at the end of the year, Royals record still to come. What will the theme of the season be? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Greenlight.
Greenlight Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-thru and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the green light difference. Visit us today.
Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Well, something tells me we're not going to need to spend a lot of time on the next one. The biggest impact rookie is one of the awards we like to predict. Rany, Carter Jensen?
Asa Lacy. No. Carter Jensen.
I knew a joke was coming, but I didn't see Asa Lacy coming at me.
He's going to be a punchline, unfortunately for him, for a long time to come. At least until he takes the mound again, which probably
may never happen.
Probably not.
I don't even ask anymore. I don't even know where he is. Is he even in the organization?
I don't know. Is he in camp?
I have not heard his name. He is in the organization, but that's all I know.
Okay.
Well, that's honestly better news than I would have expected. I wasn't sure he was still in the organization.
The line from Ghostbusters, I guess, comes. We're paying you, aren't we?
No.
We expect you to show up. So okay.
Right. Now that cheap shot is over. Sorry.
Yes.
Carter Jensen. And really, the question is, where does he rank among the impact rookies in the entire American League? I mean, he's coming into a kind of a perfect opportunity. He has a job waiting for him. He is going to be apprenticing under, a legend in Salvador Perez, but he should be in the lineup every day. He's already shown in a small sample size, but he has shown tremendous offensive promise last year. He's, still very young. Like there's very few things to be concerned about. His metrics, his exit velos, everything is pointing in the right direction that he could be an immediate impact rookie.
Yeah. Carter Jensen is where I went as well. I could have tried to get crafty and go someplace else, but I think all the reasons are there. Carter Jensen for me. David, I assume the same for you?
Yeah, I thought about, well, maybe Lewinder. No, it's Carter Jensen. I can't. There are some things that we can't be different from each other on. Like he's a rookie of the year favorite, one of the favorites. He's the best rookie on the Royals. Yeah, and I feel like to a degree that this next one as well, David, is almost just the same thing. Top prospect at the end of the year. Like Carter Jensen holds that title right now because he still has rookie of the year status. You went with? I actually went with David Shields because we'll get to some of this in the bold predictions. But, I mean, he is a legit pitching prospect. If the velocity is there at the end of the year, which I think it will be, I think he'll be up 93, 94, 95 instead of 90, 91, 92 where he was last year. His pitchability is off the charts. And this, I talked to a scout. We talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago. I talked to a scout like 3 weeks ago, maybe, who said watching him was like watching an artist and was just so impressed with him that he's like, I think he's the Royals' best prospect right now, other than Carter Jensen. And I don't think that's going to change as the season goes on. There's another candidate. I'll get to him in the bold predictions again on the show later this week. So, well, I think the other candidate you're going to hear from Rany here in a second. I agree. But yeah, he's the guy I went with. There are other options like Josh Hammond can have a big year. There are guys, but I think David Shields ends the year as the number one prospect. All right, Rany.
I'm curious, David. Have you heard of any reports of him, David Shields' velocity going up already in like camp?
I think I saw 93, 94 a couple days ago.
That would be exciting. After waiting like 6 years now for Frank Mazzucato to tick up even like 1 mile.
He's going to break 90 someday. All right,
someday. I mean, so Shields is like there are a number of people I absolutely considered in this spot. Like I love David Shields. Josh Hammond was kind of I've been a huge fan of his since the draft, and obviously Sean Gamble was taken even before him. And I thought it was interesting in the breakout, the Royals breakout game where they each team lines up its best prospects and plays another team in a spring training game. It's a kind of a cool idea because you take your prospects from, A-ball all the way up to AAA and put them in one game and they play together. That Sean Gamble was in center field. Carson Roccaforte was in left, and he was the world's best defensive outfielder last year. Asbel Gonzalez, who stole like 80 bases, was in right. So I thought that very interesting that Sean Gamble, who was like not even clearly an outfielder when he was drafted, I think he played a lot of second base as well in high school, that they've already put him in center field. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, the Royals have the 6th pick in the draft this year. Like it could be that. I mean, you hope not, right? That's kind of the default option when you have a terrible farm system. But they have a lot of options. But to me, it's Kendry Chiriot. I mean, this is just because I asked about it was David Shields showing increased velocity. I asked that in part because I've seen video. Kendry Chiriot is throwing harder.
Yep.
He was throwing 95 to 96 already. I think it's the fastest pitch he threw last year was 97.7. In his last spring training start, he hit 98.5 and was sitting 96. And he also led the entire minor leagues in strikeout to walk ratio last year. Like I've joked about him, calling him baby Greinke on this show in the past. He's starting to make me think that might not be quite such a joke a year from at the end of this year. I mean, he's 18 years old. So Kendry Chiriot to me has a chance to be the best pitching prospect in all of baseball at the end of the season. So I have to go with him here.
I have Kendry Chiriot. When I talked to Keith Law, Keith said, I said, would you move Kendry Chiriot in a deal for the Cardinals guy that the Mariners got?
Donovan,
Brendan
Donovan. And he said, no, I wouldn't. And
I don't even think he let you finish the question. I think you were still mid-question. He's like, stop.
He's like, no, that's not going to happen. I would not do it. I would not do it in a pan. I would not do it with ham. He went through every reason. Like, no, like he was sold on the fact that this is a very special player. And so for me, I'm not qualified. He is. If he's that high on him, then I'm that high on him, and I'll go with what he believes in it. But I will say that how fantastic is it that we're talking about a couple of different pitchers here for the Royals? I mean,
who are both sub 20 in full season baseball.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's absolutely fantastic. So that's good news. All right. Royals record, Rany.
89-73. I think we may have another tie, Soren. Just looking at the look on your face. How many years in a row have we had the exact same number?
I mean, like three or four.
Like I said, we're equally
right.
wrong.
Sometimes we're really wrong.
Yeah,
but we're always the
wrong
same.
every year. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
89-73. Yes, I do have 89-73 as well. I could see 92. Now, like I think the top end is like 95 wins if everything goes right. But most years everything doesn't go right. So 89-73 feels pretty good. I mean, it's 81.5 or 82.5 on the betting markets. You wanted to bet it. But there's, I think, the history that drags that number back. So, I like 89-73. David?
Apparently, I'm a pessimist.
Here
I
we
said
go.
87-75,
Okay.
which, by the way, is still going to get them in the playoffs. I think that they're going to be good. Look, I'm with you, Soren. 95, 96 wins is the top. Like we've talked about this, the bottom, it changes because if they struggle, that guys get traded. But also, I'm not sure how many guys would actually get traded from this Royals team if they struggle. So
it's a good question.
There are a couple of them, but I think that the floor with this group to me is like 79 or 80. So that's I kind of just went in the middle of that, 187.
Yeah, I think just on that trade thing, I think Bubic, Lugo, Waka, and I don't know what the no trades are.
Maybe, but think about if they're struggling. Are they struggling because Bubic? Yes, he's a free agent, but are they struggling because Lugo stunk? Because Waka stunk? And so I think that you start to look at that and the floor. But again, the floor with this group. So I'm not going to predict who's going. I think is high 70s, low 80s. The ceiling is mid 90s. So 87's in the middle.
They feel pretty high floor. I will
I'll
grant you that for sure. All right. That leaves us with our key storyline of the season. This is a category Rany created last year, I think on the fly. I think even, something he wanted to add when we were mid recording or broadcast. I think
that doesn't sound like me just interjecting more words into a conversation. So I think you're mistaken.
Okay. Well, the key storyline of the season for Rany Jazayerli is going to be what?
To me, I think the key storyline is just going to be that the offense takes a big step forward, that they're going to suddenly have one of the best offenses in the sport, to the point where even if they regress a little in the pitching staff, it'll more than make up for it. There's a bunch of reasons right here, right? Obviously, maturation of their young talent. They're still peaking. The fences being moved in. And okay, maybe those are empty calories, but it's still, people still cannot help but like look at more runs scored, more home runs hit, and mentally not make the full adjustment and say, oh, they're better, as opposed to, well, they just have a more favorable ballpark. And presumably the ballpark changes are going to benefit them more than their opponents. So I think that's fair to like give them some credit for that. And then obviously the change with the hitting coaches and bringing in Connor Dawson, he could be a very popular name around Kansas City here, fairly or unfairly, just, he's the new guy and they suddenly take a step forward. But I really think that the offense is going to be better across the board. And I think it's going to make for a very fun summer at Kauffman Stadium. Okay.
For you, David Lesky, what is this theme of the season?
I thought about the offense. I like the offense one. I think the theme is going to be watching Matt Quatrero figure out how to keep the rotation healthy and how you get 7-8 starters in there regularly, keep them fresh. Berger, Stephen Kolek when he gets healthy, Avila if he's starting, Mason Black if he goes back to rotation, Mitch Smith, all these guys. But the big thing is they need to make sure that Cole Ragans and Chris Bubich are starting games 1 and 2 on whatever day the playoffs start. And however they get, to me, that's a huge story to watch, how they get there to keep those guys in that 1 and 2 spot in games 1 and 2. That's a huge story for me. The offense is probably bigger, honestly, but what I'm watching is how Matt Quatrero handles that starting rotation and keeps them healthy.
That's a lot. The good news is I used a small font for you on that one. I like it because it's different, because I'm along the lines of Rany. I have the depth of the Royals lineup as well as the depth of the batters, meaning the guys, but also how many hitters are high quality. And now that I read it, this was I maybe should have edited my writing of it. Anyway, the depth of the Royals lineup as well as the depth of the batters that can hit the ball over the wall increases the run production by more than 100 runs. So there it is. Yep. I think the offense is going to be the story of this team. And I think we're going to be talking a lot about how much it has improved. All right, then when you look at it, Rany, any final thought on having done it all and what jumped out at you? What'd you learn from the exercise?
So, I apologize for adding so many takes. I've been off the air for a while. They've been packing up in my head and I'm trying to disperse them. But one more thing I want to say here. This is I didn't put this on my bold and daring predictions because it's very hard to measure this objectively. But could this be the deepest pitching staff top to bottom in Royals history? Let me explain what I mean by this. The Royals rotation, the first 4 starters in Omaha this season will likely be Ryan Bergert, Stephen Kolek, Mason Black, and Mitch Spence. Is that better or worse than the first 4 starters for the Kansas City Royals on opening day 3 years ago? And before you laugh,
better.
Here are the names of the 4 guys who started. Zach Greinke started opening day, and God bless him, he was 40 years old and had an ERA over 5 that year. Jordan Lyles started game 2. I will say no more. Brad Keller started game 3.
Guy's a stud.
Has proven himself to be horribly miscast as a starting pitcher and an excellent reliever. And Brady Singer, who had a 5.22 ERA, or no, 5.57 ERA that year. Those are the first 4 starters for Kansas City compared to Berger, who I think, is a capable major league starter right now. Stephen Kolek, who had like a 191 ERA in the Royals rotation in 5 starts last year. Mason Black, who is, like you said, kind of a popular name to be kind of a sneaky breakout guy, maybe in a bullpen role this year. And Mitch Spence, who they just traded a 5th round pick who had been pitching very well out of the bullpen, and AJ Causey, because he has had some success with the A's, and the Royals like something about him, and I think they've earned the right to take that trust, right? But also, let's look at the bullpen in Omaha. Luinder Avila, Steven Cruz, Ben Kudrna is going to be there. Steven Zobak is going to be there. Like, Omaha's pitching staff I'm not sure. It might be better than 2023 at the beginning of the year, might be better than 2005, 2006. Like, the 18th best pitcher in the Kansas City Royals organization right now might be better than the 18th best Royals pitcher at any point that I can remember. The top end is not as elite. Like I said, I'm not saying it's the best pitching staff, because 2 years ago, obviously, they had Lugo and Ragans top 5 in the Cy Young Award. Some of the guys who are on the team this year might not be better than the guys in Omaha, like Bailey Falter. We haven't talked about him. He seems to have made the roster. Carlos Estevez. Like, there may be some need for these guys in Omaha, but the point is they have them there. And so, as you said with Matt Quatrero, like, by mid-season, hopefully he will have sorted all of this out, and they will have, top to bottom, a 13-man pitching staff that is, the envy of baseball. So that's the thing I'm really interested to see if that happens or not this year.
I like it. Well, what'd you learn from this process, David?
I think they're going to be good. You look at this roster, and as a Royals fan, I think your gut, like your initial thing is to say, well, this is where it's going to go wrong. Here, and here. I think we're past that. 2 straight winning seasons, a playoff 2 years ago. They're a well-constructed organization. They're a well-run organization. They're going to be good. And I think the only thing that will stop them from being good is injuries, which is true of good teams.
Yeah. Depth. That's the one thing. I mean, it kind of hits on what you both have just said. I think there's depth there. I'll go back to what I said about Nick Lofton. I think they've got some good pieces to plug in now. Guys that, were miscast as being like the guy who's got to solve the problem are good pieces to have to, be like, okay, we need 3 weeks out of you. All right, this isn't bad. I think Starling Marte gives them depth in the outfield where they've got a lot of different ways to try to make that work. He can be part of a platoon, but his splits don't really change. So if he has to play every day, I don't think you want to play him every day for 6 months. But if he has to play every day for 3 weeks, I think you're okay with that. And so I just think all around the depth of this team, this is what real championship caliber team, because we know about the stars at the top. But I think the underrated part, what this told me, was that the depth at the bottom is pretty damn good as well. And you're going to need that along the way if you're going to win something. All right, that's going to do it for us. Now, listen, we're going to have a special show Friday morning. We're going to do our bold and daring predictions. We didn't get that done. So Friday morning when the Royals open, we'll open up a fresh new Kaufman Corner podcast, and it will have our buddy Rany Jazayerli joining us for that as well. So make sure you are listening to the Kaufman Corner on opening day. Begin your joyous opening day with the Kaufman Corner. Of course, we're always brought to you by our great sponsors. You can support the Kaufman Corner by supporting folks like Gain Asphalt and Concrete. They're hiring experienced asphalt and concrete paving foremen, operators, laborers. If you're looking for a trusted company, offers top of the market pay, company provided insurance, PTO, and many more benefits. Go to GainAsphalt.com/careers. Northland Injury Law has been serving Kansas City for 40 years. Voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyer. If you've been hurt in an accident, if you have a case, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. Whataburger now for a limited time at all your Kansas City locations. Take advantage of that What a Catch fish sandwich or What a Catch dinner. It is a great time. You can also take advantage of the $3 new Big Ranch. I want to say this right. New Big Ranch wrap for $3 at your Whataburger, open 24 hours a day, 11P to 11A. Remember, they serve breakfast and Greenlight Dispensary. 15 locations in Missouri, more on the way. Greenlight, your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you saw it right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. For David Lesky, for the great Rany Jazayerli, I'm Soren Petro saying